Good morning, Mile High Church. So great to see everyone as we have our sacrament for the week, which is our spiritual community. Whether you're here in our sanctuary, you're watching from home, we are so grateful to come together in recognition of the spirit of unity and celebrating the best that is life. We're so glad you're with us today. So cool. There's presents for the people who came in person to church today. They're Christmas cards, all to celebrate our candlelight services. We have our candlelight image. We have our family Christmas image. We have our winter solstice image. And it's kind of a cool idea. You can keep one for you. And if you want, you can mail one to a friend. It lets them know when the candlelight services are. We're so looking forward to them. Last year we weren't able to get together in person at all, so I'm extra excited to be together on the 23rd and 24th, 1, 4, and 7 p.m. Yay! Isn't that awesome? The 7 p.m.s will still be streaming online, but we're going to have Dr. Roger with us. Charles Holt is returning with us, Acoustic Idolion. The choir is with us, Michelle. Yes. Tom and Jennifer. It's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be amazing. Yes. We are so looking forward to it, and especially looking forward to having people here in the room with us for these beautiful, heartwarming services. So please, please plan to join us for at least one. How many of you usually come to more than one? Raise your hands. Yep, see, yeah, there's some of you confess. Me too. Well, I think we have to, though, don't we? Yeah. So, this morning we also would love to take that heartwarming moment where we get an opportunity to anchor ourselves in our vision and mission as a community, an opportunity to say aloud who we are and what we stand for. So please join me as we read firstly our vision. Oneness revealed. A world of love, peace, and abundance for all. And our mission, to serve as a spiritual beacon for personal empowerment and global enlightenment. And so with those joyous words resonating in our hearts and souls, we also take a moment now to step into that sweet space of prayerfulness. So we invite you to take a deep breath, to just go within. We're going to sing together, have a few moments of silence together, and then Dr. Patty will lead us in a beautiful prayer. Let us begin.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
I'm so grateful to be able to offer this prayer of receptivity. Being ever so receptive to the divine light that is above us, below us, and all around about us. and to recognize that our God is a God of love, a God of plenty, a God of inner knowingness and creativity, and a God of love, that harmonic love that prevails within each one of us, all of humanity. For this is a spiritual truth, and I behold it in that recognition that there's nowhere where God is not, nowhere. So in this moment, with the gentle breath that is breathing each one of us, let it remind you that everything that you are, everything that I am, has been cut from that divine fabric. And the kingdom of God lives within each one of us. And so I celebrate this union, not God and I, but God living as me, God living as you. And we say this and we pray this with such incredible humility. So what I realize in this moment of being receptive, I realize for my brothers and sisters, this week for our Jewish brothers and sisters as they celebrate Hanukkah, that each one of us take that spiritual truth of realizing that there is that light within us. And that oil that keeps that light burning is that omnipresence. It is the kindness, indeed the love. It is the inner peace that keeps our candle burning now and forever. For I behold this divine truth for all walks of faith. I behold this healing balm of inner knowingness for all people everywhere, to bring forth that eternal health and wellness for all. So I celebrate this with gratitude. And I know as spoken, these words have been released into what we call a creative law, a creative pattern that receives and manifests here right now. So in Arabic, the word amen means receptive. So I say receptive, receptive, receptive. Amen.
In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. I am held, I am whole, I surrender to it all. When I trust and let go, then I know that all is well. All is well. I surrender to it all. When I trust and let go, then I know that all is well. All is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment I am safe and all is well. I am safe and all is well. I am safe and all is well.
Our words of inspiration come from Abdul Baha, a Baha'i mystic. Let us have love and more love, a love that melts all opposition, a love that conquers all foes, a love that sweeps away all barriers, a love that aboundeth in charity, a large-heartedness, tolerance, forgiveness, and noble striving, a love that triumphs over all obstacles. And from Marvin J. Ashton, if we could look into each other's hearts and understand the unique challenges each of us faces, I think we would treat each other more gently, with more love, patience, tolerance, and care.
I'm burned out on Christmas, so bad I could scream. Plastic snow and cheap mistletoe have been up since Halloween. I'm burned out on Christmas. Too much red and green. There's plastic snow and that cheap.
No. Wait. Hang on just a second. I'm gonna. Really?
I'm just keeping it real, Jennifer.
Wow, it's like the 5th. It's
Yeah.
the 5th of December.
Right. And
We have a long ways to go,
and
Tom.
the decorations went up at Halloween and Thanksgiving, and
boy.
the trees are up. We've been planning Christmas since May.
Okay, I know what's gonna help. I think we need to bring a little spirit, Christmas spirit.
Go for it.
Let's do that one, okay? Haul out the holly, put up the tree before my spirit falls again. Fill up the stocking, I may be rushing things, but deck the halls again now. For we need a little Christmas right this very minute. Candles in the window, carols at the spinet. Yes, we need a little Christmas right this very minute. It hasn't snowed a single flurry, but Santa dear, we're in a hurry. So climb down the chimney, put up the brightest string of lights I've ever seen. Slice up the fruitcake, I may be rushing things, but deck the halls again now. For I've grown a little leaner, grown a little colder, grown a little sadder, grown a little older, and I need a little angel sitting on my shoulder. I need a little Christmas now. See, doesn't that help?
That's helping a little bit.
Do you feel better?
Well, my toes tapping. We'll see.
Maybe you could sing along with me.
I'll try.
Okay. For we need a little Christmas right this very minute. Candles in the window, carols at the spinet. Yes, we need a little
Jennifer Burnett and Tom Litch, Mile High Band, thank you so much. Jennifer and Tom, if you don't mind staying out here just for a moment for a little surveying we're going to do shortly. But first, good morning, everyone. Just a reminder that this is the last week of one of the most important projects we do all year. We call it our Giving Tree. It provides a Christmas for hundreds of kids in our greater Denver metro area. It even expands beyond that. We serve the Rosebud Native American Reservation. We serve a place called Serenity House that helps adults struggling with disabilities. And it's an incredible thing when we all come together, grab a tag off that tree, or if you're here and you don't have time to bring it back before Wednesday or watching online, you can go to our website and make a gift through our Santa shop. You can go to our guest services counter. And it's amazing to see what we can achieve in the lives that we can uplift this year, right? Yes, and thank you to Reverend Jackie, Reverend Millie, and all of our elves who are helping that program, and thanks for participating. And so we had two conflicting Christmases there. Often representing the two spirits within myself. But just to survey the congregation a little bit today, how many people here as of today are Team Tom? I'm sick of this Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
You're just being vulnerable, authentic.
I'm just trying to keep it real. Josh.
Right, yes.
You know?
And how many here are Team Jennifer, fully embracing and embodying the holiday spirit? Well, Jennifer wins this round, Tom, but this sermon, this message is actually for you.
Oh, I'll listen this time.
Okay, listen, look. Thank you very much. Thanks to our Mile High Band again. So if you're Team Tom, or even have a little bit of Tom in you this year, then you may be suffering from what I'm calling today the Scrooge Syndrome. So raise your hand if you've done any of the following yet this year. Rolled your eyes or grunted because a neighbor, according to you, is putting up their Christmas decorations way too early. Yes. How many people have said something like, I'd rather be going to the dentist than putting up Christmas decorations today? Anybody? A few of you? Yes. How many of us have intentionally avoided the Salvation Army volunteer outside of the grocery store? I did the other day. I saw him right ahead, and I did kind of a backspin across the post, right in. I can't not give. How many of us have cursed in some way the commercialism and materialism of the season? Yes. So we all sometimes suffer a little bit from the Scrooge Syndrome, but I want you to know today it can actually be a very healthy, positive thing. Scrooge is Ebenezer Scrooge, who was brought to us through Charles Dickens in England in the 19th century, who wrote A Christmas Carol, which to me is not only one of the great works of literature, it's like a spiritual or religious text. And Scrooge is described there, we are told, to edge his way along the crowded paths of life, warning all human sympathy to keep its distance. Does this sound like anybody here, maybe this past week? And we hear from Scrooge. He says, Merry Christmas, out upon Merry Christmas. What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money? A time for finding yourself a year older but not an hour richer. If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding. I don't know what kind of pudding, but and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. Now, that might be going a little too far, but this is what I want you to know about the character of Scrooge. We often talk about Scrooge like he's a villain, but the truth is that Scrooge is a great hero. He goes on a spiritual journey, visited not so much by the ghost, but by the spirit of the past, the present, and what is yet to come, to become enlightened and to receive the great blessing of Christmas. See, if you're feeling a little extra grouchy this time of year, all that it means is that Christmas is working. See, there's this great blessing. There's something about this time of year, no matter what you call it, that's a primordial kind of time. It's a time that calls back all that has been, all of our loved ones. It's a time that puts us in touch with what is. It's a time that causes us to think about our relationship with what is yet to come. And it's a sacred time, this time where it is most dark and yet the light shines most brightly internally. See, the blessing of Christmas, when we're grumpy, it haunts us. And that's why perhaps we get grumpy in the first place. And all that we're called to do is to receive the blessing that is being alive, the blessing that is the miracle of life, seeking to make itself known in your heart and in mine. How do we receive the blessing of Christmas? First of all, we have to break out of the curse. You've got to break out of the curse. A curse not put on us by some witch out there, but a curse that we damn ourselves with. It's the curse of a tunnel vision that sees life through a pessimistic prism. It's the curse that tells ourselves that we're not good enough, that life is just about survival and getting as much stuff as possible. It's the curse that says, I can't believe I have to have another Christmas in this damn pandemic. It's that anger, it's that regret, it's that desire to pull away. It's that curse we put ourselves into, and it's that rut. It's that mediocrity, and we have to break the curse by breaking ourselves out of it. I remember several years ago, before my family and I moved here to Colorado, we had to go to the passport office, which was at a big post office in Long Beach, California, and it was like the DMV died and went to hell. It was like 85 degrees, and it was packed, and I had my number, and the number was like 100 ahead, and the fluorescent lights it was like they were set to stun. They were just burning your eyeballs in there. And at one point, we've been there over an hour, and there's a gas station next door, and so I grabbed our son Gavin. I said, we're just going to go to the gas station and get a bottle of water, and my wife April would stay there. And so I'm in line at this gas station, suffering, right? Just miserable. And I think, at least April's there with me so I could go to the gas station and get this bottle of water. There's all sorts of people there who don't have any water at all. No one else there with them. And so I think, I asked the gas station attendant, how many bottles of water do you have? And I walk out with over a caseload. And Gavin's got some, and I've got some, and I return into that post office like George Bailey returning to Bedford Falls. Hello, you old post office. Hello, lady whose back of your head is all that I've seen. Would you like some water? Hello, guy with a shirt too small for your body. Would you like a glass of water? On, and some people take the water and some people don't. And it's not like I'm trying to do some act of kindness. It's an act of rebellion, right, against the misery of being in that place. But I'm breaking out of this rut, and I'm finding happiness and joy. And as a byproduct, happy to provide some water to some folks as well. And my son, the whole time, he's just got his hand over his face. He's just totally embarrassed. So we get our photos taken, and the next day I'm with my wife, and we're at an Ulta beauty store getting her some makeup, and I'm paying for it, and the lady behind the counter says, hey, were you at the postal office yesterday? I said, yes. She goes, were you the one giving out the water? And I said, yes, I was. And she says, it was so funny. I was there with my family, and we were kind of at each other all day. We were miserable, not having a good time. We didn't share a word until we were on our way home, and we started talking about you handing out those bottles of water, and all of a sudden, we started laughing together and connecting, and there was this healing experience, and thank you so much for doing that. And again, I didn't try to do it as an act of good for others, but it was an expression of when we break our own curse that we put ourselves in, when we get out of that rut and are willing to share and be a blessing, it can bless people in so many different ways. The miracle of that experience being that I was there to receive the story of such. Break out of the curse and become the blessing. Break out of the curse and become the blessing. Charles Dickens, we might think as part of the British elite, a man of privilege, but it wasn't so. Young Charles in 19th century England was born into a family with means, but his dad had a lot of financial problems and was actually arrested and put in real debtor's prison. It was a real thing back then. And young Charles was put in an orphanage, and he was taken out of school. He had to work hard labor every day to help pay off his father's debts. And young Charles would walk every morning through the slums of London. And it's very similar to Siddhartha, the story of the Buddha when he leaves his father's kingdom and he begins to see suffering in the world. Little Charles saw the suffering. He saw the disdain. He saw the scuzziness of the streets, and yet he saw the resilience of the people. The lines on their faces, the way that they would speak together. And if anyone's familiar with the work of Charles Dickens, I would argue that this whole experience really carved his whole narrative career, talking about these people and how to restore dignity in them and uplift them in life. Scrooge is probably the most personal of all characters to Dickens because he represents his own father. Someone who had good inside of him but got too caught up in the material life, too caught up in greed, too caught up that the blessing of life was never received or never opened his heart. And so for me, one of the most powerful parts of the Christmas Carol is the dialogue that happens between Scrooge and his nephew, who, when I do a careful reading, sounds like Charles Dickens to me. It's a conversation that he's having in his mind with his own father. And it goes something like this. "God save you, uncle," cried a cheerful voice. It was Scrooge's nephew. "Bah, humbug," said Scrooge. "Christmas a humbug, uncle? You don't mean that, I'm sure." "I do," said Scrooge. "Merry Christmas. What right have you to be merry? You're poor enough." "Come then," returned the nephew. "What right have you to be dismal? You're rich enough. Nephew, keep Christmas in your own way, and I will keep it in mine." "Keep it," repeated Scrooge's nephew, "but you don't keep it. Leave me alone then. Much good may it do to you, much good it has ever done to you." And we hear this following statement from the nephew, which is Dickens, which helped awaken a society and helped to invent the Christmas that we know in so many ways today at a cultural level. The nephew continues, "I've always thought of Christmas time, when it has come round, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time, the only time I know of in the long calendar of the year, when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely and to think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And there, uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good and will do me good, and I say, God bless it. God bless it, that blessing." And I can't help but think of that little boy at night in that orphanage, thinking about how he's been taken out of school, thinking about how he's been taken from his home, not getting to eat what he wants to, and rightfully thinking, what right have I to be merry? What right have I to be merry? But then thinking about those lowly, suffering people he saw on the street, and those kids all around him who didn't have parents still like he did. And perhaps saying to himself, what right have I to be dismal? What right have I to be dismal? Even in the most challenging experiences of our life, the blessing of being alive, the blessing of the knowledge of the miracle of the Spirit in all things can awaken in us and achieve that merriment, that charity, that clarity of life and of being. The first step to receiving the blessing is breaking any curse we put upon ourselves. But then it's about knowing that blessing is not only for us, but it's for everyone. That the truth of the blessing is that no one is excluded. It's not God bless us some, it's God bless us everyone. It's not God bless you and me, it's God bless us everyone. It's not, as the joke goes, God bless America and no place else. Right? It's God bless everyone. No one excluded. I don't mean to just apply this to the egregious people in the world, but to those who inspire our grumpiness, our everyday frustrations, the person that cuts you off, the person you're having a conversation with that won't lift their head from their cell phone. Right? All of those sandpaper people who push our buttons, and even in that dysfunctional family experience, those people we love but that drive us crazy. I can't help but want to give a shout out to Stephen Sondheim this week, who passed away, and his beautiful song from Company called Being Alive, which speaks to romance, but I think it speaks to familial relationships as well. He says, someone to need you too much, someone to know you too well, someone to pull you up short, to put you through hell, someone you have to let in, someone whose feelings you spare, someone who, like it or not, will want you to share a little, a lot. Someone to crowd you with love, someone to force you to care, someone to make you come through, who'll always be there, as frightened as you of being alive. That's what the blessing is. It's being alive, and it's living that life to the fullest, as opposed to allowing it to get drawn back into the seeming fractured surface of things. Scrooge is the hero of A Christmas Carol, and this is why it's a religious work in so many ways, Dickens puts Christ right in the book as the character of Tiny Tim, who affirms God blesses everyone. And this is something that Jesus would do. He would compare the kingdom of heaven to the littlest of things, the mustard seed, the little child that each of us needs to be like to get into heaven. The last shall come first. And so we have this young, crippled boy who represents all that the kingdom of heaven and all that the blessing is. And there's a conversation that takes place. He's coming home on his dad Bob's shoulders, and Mom says, "How did little Tim behave?" "As good as gold," said Bob, "and better." Somehow he gets thoughtful, sitting by himself so much, and thinks the strangest things you've ever heard. He told me coming home that he hoped the people saw him in the church because he was a cripple, and it might be pleasant to them to remember upon Christmas Day who made lame beggars walk and blind men see. Even in those challenging experiences, no matter how we've been victimized in our lives, no matter how fractured things may seem, the blessing is still there. And what is the blessing but knowing it in your heart and seeking to bring it into your life, no matter the challenge. Sometimes the challenges actually make it even clearer. I was inspired several years ago watching an HBO documentary called John, about Jim Foley, called Jim. Jim Foley was the journalist who many of us know in the news, who was assassinated brutally by ISIS in 2014. And here's this young man who was inspired with the dream of journalism, who went out to the Middle East to cover stories that people weren't covering as a freelance journalist, and he got kidnapped. And he was there for several months. His family worked hard to get him out, and he was eventually freed, and he got home and loved his dream so much. How many of us would do that? He went back after having that terrible experience. And there he would be kidnapped again, eventually murdered, as so many of us know. And yet, in that year before his passing, he shared a cell room with about a dozen other journalists from all over the world. And these men lived and ate and became each other's universe, because everything on the outside was shut out from them. And one of these gentlemen shares, eulogizing Jim, that there was one night where it was Christmas. And they all sat next to each other, and they didn't have gifts. The only blessing they had was to know that it was Christmas. And each gentleman went around and said something that they admired about the person next to them. And this gentleman got to share about Jim, and he shared, when I first met you, because Jim was well known in the journalist world, kind of famous in that way, I wasn't all that impressed. You looked exhausted. You looked like you didn't know where you were. But as I've gotten to know you, I've come to realize that there is nothing but good in you. Nothing but good in you. And it was the greatest compliment he could give Jim. And the gentleman shared that when he was going to bed that night, he thought to himself, this is the best Christmas I ever had. What a powerful statement to make imprisoned as a prisoner of war. Yet it speaks to the power that blessing of life cannot be escaped. And when we try to run away from it, it haunts us. It calls us back into what it really is, to remember who we are, to remember why we're really here, and to choose to either run away and hide from the great blessing, or to groom and to cultivate it in our consciousness, in our hearts, in our relationship, and in our works. There's a Sufi saying, man's heart is like a piece of ground. You may sow anything in it and rear it. When the fruit comes, then man knows whether it was a sweet fruit or a poison. And what are you planting in your heart this Christmas time? What seeds are you planting for just remembering that miracle of life, why you're here, your relationships and how they've come to you, your work and what drew you to it, how you see the world, and if you practice that way of seeing it in your life and in how you interact with others. No one excluded from the blessing, breaking the curse, and then there's the recognition that when you live from this blessing, it never decreases. The blessing only increases. It only grows and grows. This is very much the message of the master teacher Jesus when he says, do not put your heart into material treasures that will rot and fade away, but put your heart in heaven so that you may experience eternal life. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that you don't have to love your Xbox. You can love your Xbox. We can love the material goods of our life. Yet what we should invest in is in the eternal. And what is the eternal but recognizing that miracle of life within yourself? It's a remembrance that even though people that you love are no longer here in physical form, that there's a life in that eternity that is right here with you. It's the recognition that although things may not be perfect today, that there's still this perfect presence, this perfect life behind the scenes, expressing and holding everything. It's the recognition that even though you may not know what is to come, there is that wholeness and completeness of life right where you are. To become aware of this is the greatest blessing that there is. And I've learned in my life, for all the spiritual studies that I've done, 15 years of minister or whatever it is, as skeptical as I can be about all sorts of teachings, the one thing that's been sure for me, wherever I have shown up as blessing, I have been blessed. That's one thing that has been so certain for me. Wherever I've been willing to show up and be a blessing, to be present for the miracle, it's expressed itself in some way, in some form. And that is the gift of life to each of us. I love how our founder, Ernest Holmes, put it. He said, here's a thought I love above most other things that Jesus said. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. You and I have never done anything personally to earn this kingdom. It is the gift of life to us. And you and I cannot believe, in fact, we dare not believe that we could do anything really to destroy it. We may be able to delay the day of our emancipation. We may be able to deny the reality of our own spirits because we are individuals. But surely that which God has made, you and I cannot destroy. What a good thing to remember in moments of struggle this year, of moments of grief, of moments of uncertainty, whatever may come, of moments of the seeming fracture in a relationship, that there's still that great blessing of life always and ever available for us to remember. That we are the very expression of what it is, or as Meister Eckhart, the great Catholic mystic, once said, there's not only one begotten Son, but that we are all sons of the only begotten. In other words, we are all children of God. We are all expressions of the Spirit. And when we remember this blessing, when we allow it to seep through our own understanding to open up to that higher understanding, it takes root in us and it grows and grows and grows. Think of those areas in your life that could use this blessing. Think of those untouched areas in yourself that you maybe have been turning away from that could use this blessing. Think about those places in the world that could use this blessing. And all we're asked is to have the courage to see it and recognize it, to embrace it, and to become it. So moving into prayer this morning, I just invite any of our prayer practitioner partners who'd like to stand and join me in this. How good it is to recognize the divine gift of life itself in each of us, always available with its presence. Always available to call forward. No matter how dark the midnight, no matter how great the uncertainty, there is that solid foundation of a divine faith and a divine gift that I know, as I embrace it and as we embrace it, reveals itself as an incredible grace and as an infinite love. May the gifts of the season come with every material gift that's given. May its trace be present in every conversation. May its grace express itself in those quiet moments in nature or by a fireplace or wherever it may be. And know that wherever there is struggle, there is a deep harmony calling us forward to remember that great miracle of life here for you and here for me this day. May we also take this moment to bless any of those we love who may be struggling, who may be letting go, who may be holding on too tight, to know that sweet release that comes in remembering that eternal blessing ever begetting itself in the hearts of all who are willing to listen and to receive. And so it is.
I am held, I am whole, I surrender to it all. When I trust and let go, then I know that all is well. All is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. I am safe and all is well. I am safe and all is well.
You disappeared on me. I was like, where did he go?
I am an audience.
Oh, what a beautiful day. Beautiful message today. Thank you so much, Josh. Oh, my goodness. One of the effects of this last few years of all the changes in our organization and the pandemic is that we haven't had a proper opportunity to thank some of the great leaders in our community who have served our Board of Trustees. Our Board of Trustees is a group of 9 individuals elected each year by the members of this community to serve our church. Every year we elect 3 new trustees and 3 go off. And so the last couple of years, we've had trustees step off of the board that we haven't had a chance to say thank you to officially. We've certainly thanked them behind the scenes profusely. We have certainly appreciated them and have certainly felt the impact of their leadership in so many ways. Here are 4 of the 6 of them today. 2 could not be with us, so we'll have their photos, and we want to let you know who they are and allow our community to properly thank them. And so for ending their terms in 2020, we have today Mr. Ron Benson. Mr. Jim Cornelison, who served as our president. And he could not be here today, Mr. Kevin Lakewood. I want to thank him.
Don't graduate too soon.
Keep it this way.
And in 2021, the 3 trustees who stepped off of the board included Steve Drury here. Bridget McCann. I didn't get Bridget in, did I? No, I messed it up. Bridget McCann was last year. She was 2020, right? Yeah, okay. Bridget McCann, yes. And Susan Laturnow could not be with us. She served as our president. We thank you for your service, for your leadership, for your love, for your ideas, and for your heart as you served this beautiful Mile High Church and this wonderful Mile High community.
It's an amazing service, and you are welcome to step up. But I just want to say, church management is really a relationship between the representatives of the membership and the ministers. And most of these folks, when they came on, they didn't realize that the senior minister was going to be retiring or that there was a global pandemic on the way. And so I just want to thank them for, not only their due diligence in holding us accountable, but their incredible support and trust that has helped us continue to build this community in incredible ways. It's a great service, and some of you will have an opportunity in August to be for election for it. So thank these folks so much, and thank all of our current board members. If you're here, thank you so much, and past board members as well.
Thank you. Now I'm going to step in front of you.
Thank you. So with that, it's now our offering time. Thank you for all that you do to financially support Mile High Church. I invite you to take your gift, and we honor all the different ways that you choose to give to our center, but we can all share in the same affirmation blessing together that goes like this. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is.
And you ask me what I want this year, and I'll try to make it kind and clear. Just a chance that maybe we'll find better days. 'Cause I don't need boxes wrapped in strings and designer love and empty things. Just a chance that maybe we'll find better days. So take these words and sing out loud, because everyone is forgiven now. And tonight's the night the world begins again. I need someplace simple where we can live, and something only you can give, and that's faith and trust and peace while we're alive. And the one poor child who saved this world, and there's 10 million more who probably could, if we all just stopped and said a prayer for them. So take these words and sing out loud, because everyone is forgiven now. And tonight's the night the world begins again. Love tonight and somehow stop this endless fight. Just a chance that maybe we'll find better days. So take these words and sing out loud, because everyone is forgiven now. And tonight's the night the world begins again. Yes, tonight's the night the world begins again.
Thank you, Tom, Jennifer, and Mile High Band. If you are new to Mile High, we want to welcome you and let you know that we have a welcome center in the middle of the lobby. Please stop by and you can find more information on who we are and what's going on here at Mile High Church. And you may notice that our practitioner prayer partners are coming down on each side of the aisle, and they will be down in front for a short affirmative prayer after the service. And we have a very special practitioner who is with us this morning.
Hey, it's the leader of our cookie and candy ministry here at Mile High Church. It's the gingerbread man, and it is your time of year because, am I right that this Wednesday at 7 p.m. is our family Christmas service? Yes, and part of it is representing the great legend and the myth of the great spiritual expression of the gingerbread man who runs as fast as he can, just like that. And this is a service that's not just for adults, but it's for the whole family. It's a joy this year. Tom and Jennifer and Barry and the whole team have been working very hard to put it all together, and we're so very much looking forward to it. Namaste. Thank you, gingerbread man. You're welcome to rise as we go through our benediction announcements today. Again, please grab a tag off the giving tree or make a donation online. Dr. Patty is putting together an incredible winter solstice service for us, December 17th. It's going to be on a Friday night. This is often people's greatest service of the year, and we're so pleased to announce that all the funds that evening will go to support the Lakota Healing Way Center. So we're so looking at that, supporting folks in recovery. Looking forward to that. Again, candlelight on the 23rd and 24th. Thanks so much for being with us today. Let us know right here and right now that divine blessing ever giving itself through inspiration, guidance, clarity, love, and wisdom wherever we go. And so it is. Amen.
Let there be peace on earth, and let me begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joy and vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.